When my mother-in-law learned that her husband had been severely injured in a car accident, the shock was too much for her. She suffered a massive heart attack. The only person capable of saving her was my wife, a skilled heart surgeon. In a panic, I called her immediately, but instead of her voice, her ex-boyfriend answered. "Emily's busy right now." "What's so urgent?" he said casually. Desperation took over. "Put Emily on the phone right now." I shouted. Annoyed, my wife finally responded. "Can you relax? I've had a long day. Can I just have a moment to unwind and enjoy a drink?" And then she hung up. I kept calling, but her phone was switched off. An hour later, both her mother and father were gone. Her father's injuries were too severe. Her mother's condition had worsened rapidly. I stood outside the emergency room, completely lost, when one of her colleagues saw me and shouted, "What are you doing here? Where is Emily?" I had tried everything to reach her, but nothing worked. My hands were trembling as I kept dialing her number again and again. Finally, the call connected. "Emily, you need to come to the hospital now. Your parents, they're not going to make it." The call dropped. When I tried again, her phone was off. Frustration and helplessness boiled over. I slammed my fist into the wall. Her parents had always treated me like their own son. I couldn't just stand by and do nothing. After informing the ER doctor about the situation, I rushed out to find her. I remembered she once mentioned her ex, Matt, lived nearby in Harmony Gardens. I drove there recklessly, barely avoiding accidents along the way. When I arrived, I saw them. They were leaving a convenience store, laughing together. Matt carried food and beer, while Emily walked beside him, smiling like she didn't have a care in the world. When a bike sped past, he instinctively pulled her close and said softly, "Careful." She giggled. My heart sank, but there was no time for that. "Emily," I ran toward her. "Thank God I found you." Her smile vanished instantly. "Steve, what are you doing here? Are you following me?" I grabbed her hand urgently. "We have to go. Right now." She pulled away, annoyed. "What's wrong with you? Don't say ridiculous things about my parents." "I'm serious," I said quickly. "Your dad had an accident. Your mom had a heart attack. We need to leave now." She shook her head. "I just talked to Dad. He's fine. And Mom was perfectly healthy last week." "Stop lying." "I'm not lying. Please, just trust me." Matt stepped forward, placing himself between us. "Steve, this is too much. Emily just wanted to relax. Why would you say something so horrible about her parents?" He added with a smirk, "They treat you like family, and this is how you repay them?" Emily looked at me coldly. "Go home. I'm not dealing with this." I ignored them and pleaded again. "The doctor said your dad might not survive. Your mom needs you. She has no one else." She hesitated for a second, but then Matt pointed toward a restaurant. "Hey, look, our old friends are there. Let's go say hi." She turned to follow him. I grabbed her again, my voice breaking. "Emily, please. Don't miss your chance to say goodbye. They're dying." Matt scoffed. "Enough with this drama." He pulled her away. I fell to my knees, tears streaming down my face. "If I'm lying, let something terrible happen to me. But please, just come with me." She stopped briefly, conflicted, but then chose him. "If you ever say something like that about my parents again, we're done," she warned before walking away. No matter how much I called after her, she didn't turn back. By the time I returned to the hospital, it was too late. Her father was already gone. Her mother lay on her deathbed, barely breathing. When she saw me alone, her eyes dimmed. "Where's Emily?" she whispered. I couldn't tell her the truth. "She's with a patient. She couldn't leave," I said softly. She nodded weakly. "That's my daughter. Always dedicated." Tears burned my eyes. "You've been a good son, Steve. I just wish I could see her one last time." Those were her final words. She died waiting for her daughter, while that daughter was laughing with someone else. I handled everything alone: the funeral, the cremation, the arrangements. They had lived simple lives and wanted a quiet farewell. Later that day, as I returned home, I saw Emily stepping out of Matt's car. Their goodbye lingered a little too long. She noticed my black mourning band. "Why are you wearing that?" she asked casually. I stared at her, disbelief and anger crashing inside me. "You really don't know?" I said. "What are you talking about?" she replied defensively. "You were too busy with him to notice," I said, pointing at the car. "Your parents are dead." Her face went pale. No, that's not true. Why would I lie about something like that? I snapped. They died asking for you. Tears filled her eyes. I didn't know. You didn't want to know. I shouted. I beg you to come. You ignored everything. She broke down crying, but I didn't stop. I was there for them. I held their hands. I did everything you should have done. She tried to approach me. Don't, I said coldly. I don't recognize you anymore. Then her phone rang. It was Matt. Hey, babe, he said cheerfully. Ready for tomorrow? She spoke shakily. Matt, my parents died. There was a pause. Then he said casually, You actually believe that? I told you Steve would make something up. Her eyes widened. No, they really died, she said. Another pause. Oh, that's unfortunate, he replied. Are we still going out? Something inside her snapped. Are you serious? She yelled. I lost my parents. They were old. It's natural, he said lightly. She exploded. Go to hell, Matt. She hung up and threw the phone away. For the first time, she looked completely broken. Despite everything, I couldn't just walk away. Let's go home, I said quietly. She nodded, and in the silence that followed, I realized something inside me had changed forever. No one should ever have to endure something like this alone. In the days that followed, everything blurred into a heavy, suffocating silence. The house, once alive with conversations, laughter, and shared plans, now felt hollow, like a shell filled only with echoes of the past. Every corner carried memories, and each one felt heavier than the last. Emily stayed mostly in the bedroom, lying motionless on the bed, staring endlessly at the ceiling or quietly breaking down in tears when she thought no one could hear. As for me, I drifted from room to room without purpose, surrounded by silence, trying to gather my thoughts and find even the smallest sense of calm in the storm of emotions. Part of me wanted to be angry. I wanted to hate her for what she had done, for the way she treated me, for throwing away everything we had built together over a meaningless illusion with Matt. But deep inside, I knew that anger would change nothing. It wouldn't bring Charles and Margaret back. What she had done went beyond a simple mistake. It was betrayal, not only as a wife, but as a daughter. She had turned her back on the people who loved her most at the moment they needed her the most. And that was something no amount of time could ever truly erase. During those days, I watched her try to fix things in small, almost fragile ways. She would make coffee in the mornings, attempt to start casual conversations, as if pretending everything could somehow return to normal. But it couldn't. We both knew it. Every look we exchanged carried a painful weight, an unspoken truth hanging between us, that something inside our relationship had broken beyond repair. Eventually, I realized I had to make a decision, not just for myself, but for both of us. Staying together after everything that had happened would only turn into a quiet, endless form of suffering. One evening, as I was sorting through boxes from the funeral, Emily appeared in the doorway of the living room. She stood there silently, her eyes red and exhausted, watching me. "Steve," she said softly, her voice fragile and uncertain. I stopped what I was doing, but didn't look up right away. "I know," I said calmly, before she could continue. "We need to talk." She took a slow breath and nodded, walking over to sit on the couch. I remained standing for a moment, looking at her, searching for the right words that somehow never seemed enough. "Emily," I began, "I don't want to hurt you. I know you're already in pain, and I don't want to make it worse. But what happened, all of this? I can't ignore it." She pressed her lips together, her hands tightening in her lap. "I know I hurt you, Steve. I was blind. I was selfish. It's more than that," I interrupted gently. "You made a choice. You chose him. You chose that life. I tried, Emily, I tried reaching you in every possible way. And still, you treated me like I didn't matter, like I was just something in your way." Her head dropped as tears slid silently down her face. "I regret it," she whispered. "More than anything." I sat down beside her, but left space between us. "I believe you," I said quietly. "I know you regret it, but that doesn't change how I feel. I can't look at us the same way anymore. I can't forget what happened. I can't forget that you chose someone who clearly didn't care about you while your parents were dying." She broke down completely, covering her face as her shoulders shook. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, I replied with a tired sigh. I've already made my decision. I want to divorce Emily. Her head lifted abruptly, as if she had been hoping for a different outcome. But when she saw the certainty in my expression, she understood. I understand, she said faintly. You have every right to hate me. I shook my head slowly. I don't hate you. That's why I want to do this peacefully. We're both grieving. I don't want to make things harder than they already are. She stared down at the floor in silence, absorbing every word. What do I do now? She asked quietly. You take care of yourself, I answered as I stood up. You face everything that's happened. You learn from it, and then you move forward. She nodded weakly, unable to meet my eyes. I never wanted things to end like this, I added, walking toward the door. But this is where we are. I paused briefly. I'll sleep on the couch tonight. Tomorrow, we'll start handling the paperwork. As I reached the doorway, I heard her trembling voice behind me. Thank you for not hating me. I stopped for a moment, but didn't turn around. I didn't respond. I just kept walking, knowing that silence was the only answer I could give. In the days that followed, we handled the divorce with a quiet, almost unnatural calm. There were no arguments, no accusations, just two people moving through the final steps of ending something that once meant everything. When I finally signed the papers, it felt like a weight had been lifted from my chest. For the first time in a long while, I could breathe without that tight, suffocating pressure. Emily, however, looked completely lost, but there was nothing more I could do for her. We each had our own battles to face now. The day I left the house for the last time, she stood by the door, watching me with eyes full of regret. Take care of yourself, Emily, I said quietly. Then I walked away. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. Some things, once broken, can never be the same again. But at least now, I was free to begin again.